Namaskaram and welcome to the concluding session of the Abhijnana Shankaram series. Shruti Smriti Purananam Alayam Karunalayam Namami Bhagavatpada Shankaram Lokashankaram. In the last four sessions, we saw the different aspects of the Acharya in terms of his advent, his contribution, his philosophy, some misunderstandings and myths about him. Today we are going to deal with, okay, it's great that we know all this about the Acharya and we have been listening to all this from great people. We have been reading a lot about the Acharya, his life, his works, all that is great. But what is the relevance of Acharya for today? For the today's generation, for the modern world, what is the relevance of Acharya who lived probably, if you were to go by the dates, either he lived around 1200 years before or he lived around 2500 years before. So, such a personality, what is the relevance of that personality, his message, his works today? As I think through the answer, or as I think through this question itself, the most beautiful thing that comes into my mind is the time when Acharya came, as we saw in some of the previous sessions, was a time when the Vedic Dharma was going on the decline because of the effect or the impact of various other schools, traditions, religions. Ideally, the Acharya could have just focused on the Karma Kanda of the Vedas because already the work had begun with great Mimamsakas and great scholars like Kumarila Bhatta and Mandana Mishra, great Mahatmas of those of that stature had already started work to bring back the society and encourage the society to take up Vedic rituals, Vedic rites, encourage them and make them do the Karma Kanda or the rites and rituals aspect of the Vedas. So Acharya could have well taken up that which was the need of the hour that time. He could have taken up that entire aspect of the Vedic rituals and further given push to that entire movement so that people get engaged more into Vedic rites and rituals. But he did not choose to do that. Though he accepted that yes, those have to be done and those need to be done for us to go ahead, but still he looked at what is the real essence of the Vedas. What is it that we call as Vaidika Dharma? What is the real essence of the Vaidika Dharma? The Upanishads. What is the real essence of those Upanishads? The message that there is Supreme Brahman and you are Brahman. So he felt or he thought that isn't this the ultimate objective of human pursuit, of every human birth or every living being has to finally reach this goal. Otherwise, it keeps on transmigrating, it keeps on coming, being born and being died, birth and death, it just keeps on going through the cycle. When is it that the human is going to realize his or her fullest potential? What is the fullest potential of this human? Is when he knows that he is that supreme, he is that very self which is there in all. That is the time when there is nothing more to be known. And that is when the fullest potential is achieved. The fullest inner capacity or capability is achieved. And the Acharya did not mince words. He did not think twice to say that that is what I want to bring back, because that is the ultimate goal, that is the ultimate destination. So even at a time where probably it required him to do certain other things and which he did as well, but he stuck to the final objective, that is the objective. Whether you guys agree or disagree, I don't care, but that is what the Upanishads say, and that is what is the authority, and that is what I stand by. So here is a great mind, a great intellect that stood for what is the truth. It realized itself what the truth is and stood for that truth in all possible ways and showed to humanity that that is your final goal. And the moment you say that is the final goal for humanity, can it ever become obsolete? Because humanity, as long as humanity is there, it is relevant for humanity. The other philosophies and other thought processes could become obsolete at some point of time. For example, if I speak about the freedom struggle, the freedom struggle and the different set of activities connected with the freedom struggle were relevant at that point of time when we had to gain independence. But today, those actions or activities don't have relevance anymore because we are already living in a free country. So the relevance of certain things keeps changing with the changing society. But what is constant is that the human is still there. It is all humanity again. As long as humanity is there, the world is going to continue like this. Humanity might progress or digress, that's a different thing. But humanity at the end, the thing that is involved at the core of all this is the human. And what Vedanta speaks about is the human, is the story of the human, is a story of realizing the fullest potential of the human. And that is what the Acharya re-emphasized and reinstated. Hence, Advaita can never be obsolete. Advaita always, even for us today, or for the generation that comes 100, 1,000 or million years hence, for that generation as well, the objective is to realize their fullest potential, which is what is presented by Advaita. So Advaita presents the ultimate goal of humanity. You be in whichever era you want. It is timeless. There is no time connected with this. So that is one of the biggest relevance of Advaita, that it doesn't limit itself to any sect, any particular followers, which probably some of the later schools did in terms of identifying the Brahman with Vishnu, or identifying the Brahman with Krishna, or identifying the Brahman with Shiva, or identifying the Brahman with a specific god. Naturally, it applies only to the people who follow that god, the followers of that. And if over a period of time, the god himself or herself undergoes some change, then that following also breaks up. As we know, the Vedic deities, the deities in the Vedic period were Indra, Varuna, Vayu, Agni. Do we have temples or worships done to these deities today? No. Today we have a different set of deities whom we worship. So even in our own tradition, our own dharma, we have seen that change. So a particular deity or a god is not eternal. But what is the deity or the form or the god, what he or she represents, that is eternal. It is that supreme being, the creator, the sustainer of the universe, that is eternal. So the Acharya just caught on to that, because that is what the Upanishads speak of. And he caught on to that and he said, that is real. I don't care. You give any name to this. Whatever name you want, you give it to it. But that essence, that supreme being, that life, that is eternal, and that's going to be there as long as humanity is there. So the relevance of Advaita is always there. It is timeless. It is universal in its appeal just because of the reasons I said earlier. It doesn't limit itself to any specific following or any specific deity or any specific form. It is formless. So anybody could adapt it. Anybody could adopt it and reach the ultimate. So it is for humanity, for mankind. And the very nature of the Acharya, the way he led his life, purely the clarity of Acharya is something to be studied, something to be seen, something to be read, to be believed. The kind of clarity when you read his bhashyas, his commentaries, his various works, when you read, the kind of clarity he comes with, the kind of conviction he comes with, and which then translates into great clarity. There is no ambiguity in anything that he says. And that is a testimony, a manifestation of an extremely intelligent and clear mind, thought process. That intelligence and that clarity, sometimes we see in today's world, if it gets attached with the wrong purpose, it leads to all sort of disastrous effects. Intelligent people, extremely clear people, but associated with the wrong purpose. So Acharya, a great intellect, a great mind, extreme clarity of thought, associated himself with the ultimate purpose of humanity. And that combination worked wonders. So the purpose was the very purpose of humanity, and the mind and the intellect was the supreme, the most intelligent being. When they come together is what created magic. And that is reflected in all the works of the Acharya, in the kind of approach he took towards, be it the revival of the temples, be it his devotional hymns, the varied kind of literature that he composed. All of them reflect that deep understanding of the individual or the human, and how to bring the human up from where he is or she is to the ultimate state. So Acharya, though he's associated with, establishing the six faiths of Shaiva, Vaishnava, Shakta, all those aspects, but I don't consider that to be the primary uh, contribution or primary aspect of the Acharya's work. The Acharya's primary work is this, is to bring this universality, is to re-emphasize realization of the fullest potential of mankind, of humanity, which is going to be always relevant. And how to achieve that, how to get that fullest potential. I think this is where the relevance of the Acharya is for everyone, irrespective of caste, creed, religion, nationality, race, gender. None of these are any hold any kind of relevance when it comes to the teachings of the Acharya. They are universal for mankind. When I say it's for humanity, it applies across. That's why the Western world could embrace Advaita so seamlessly. And there are so many realized souls that we have in the Western world as well. So, with these few words, I conclude this series called the Abhijnana Shankaram series. I hope many of you have been able to at least get a glimpse of the various aspects of the Acharya's life and works. And let's keep this Shraddha towards the Acharya and his message constant. Let's continue to meditate. Let's continue to focus our energies on what he asked us to do, what his message for us was. And let's continue to act on that until we meet next for some of the upcoming series on Subbu's Corner. Namaskara.